Hey guys, so in this video, I'm going to teach you all 4 extremely advanced high ground retakes. A majority of the retakes I've shown in the past are decently advanced, but fall more on the practical and useful side. The techniques I'll show today are also viable in game. The only difference is that these are a little more complex and involved than usual. This is not meant to scare you or anything like that. I just don't want anyone to think these are as easy as I may make them look or seem. All of these retakes will take a ton of time to master and require you to practice them a lot. Once you do learn them though, I can guarantee you'll be able to retake height on anyone and everyone you build fight. That's how good these retakes are. Alright, enough with all the talking and hyping them up. Let's get into the video already. For the first retake, we're going to hop right into it with an insane move featuring the toughest and most protected cone jump you can pull off. Start off by scissor ramping up and place a cone at the end of the 2 ramps to block yourself off. Place a wall on the top right side of the cone, like this. Right after you place that wall, you're going to do a cone jump but land on a ramp. This itself is a very useful move for when you're ramping at someone. Usually a cone jump like this, where you land on a ramp, would leave you exposed from the side. When you add that wall before the jump though, you're now completely safe. Something you could add onto it as well is to place a floor with the cone and edit the right side of the floor to place the wall. This makes it impossible for someone to try and block you off from cone jumping with floors, because once you have your floor there, they cannot place their own, and the wall you placed on top of the cone will prevent them from placing a floor to the side. Back to the retake though. Once you're on the ramp, you should be looking down and place a cone, which, because you are looking down, will place above you, effectively blocking you off in the same direction you had just done the cone jump in. After that, you'll then place a wall through the cone again, but this time to the top left. In the tiny bit of space you have, do another cone jump and again land on a ramp. To finish the retake, you want to quickly whip around and place walls to block any shots, kinda like a Thwifo cone without the cone on top. And finally, you can do 90s or a 180 to go up and secure high ground. NRG Edgey makes this look insanely easy, but trust me, it is not easy at all. The second cone jump you do is probably the hardest cone jump in the game. The good thing is, it's also the most protected. If you're having trouble with it, the most important part of landing it is your momentum. You can see Parallel Beats here do a ton of them in a row because he lands perfectly to the far side of the ramp, and he never slows down or loses any momentum while going for the next one. In the retake I just showed, you want to land on the left side of the ramp so you can look up while still moving, place the wall, and then go for and land the cone jump. Anytime you slow down or you land at the center of your ramp, you'll end up jumping from too high up or too slowly, and you won't have the pace to get out from under the cone. Here's another example of Edgey using this retake, and it really is insane to watch. That's not even to mention how well it keeps you protected, how little materials it uses, and how effective it is at getting high ground. Altogether, this is one of the best retakes in the game right now. Yes, it does look easy, but it will require a ton of practice to pull off. These are advanced retakes for a reason, boys. Next up, the second retake is a variation of something we've seen from FaZe dubs, except the one we're gonna learn I've only ever seen been used by Bugha. You'll begin by scissor ramping up, and then do an extended Thwifo cone. This is the same thing as a normal Thwifo cone, but you place another cone in front of you, and then connect to it with a ramp, and then floor that off. From that point, edit the 2 right panels of both the floor and cone, and follow that up with a cone. It's very important that you place a cone here, and not a ramp. The retake that Dubs and Sway use a lot involves you putting a ramp here, but that's not what we're trying to do, and you'll see why in a second. So after you put down the cone and not the ramp, build a ramp underneath it, which you'll jump on, and then floor the cone off. You're also going to edit this cone and floor, except you're going to run up the ramp as you do it, reset the floor, and re-edit the cone into a ramp. To add a little extra spice, you're going to then ramp up, cone and floor yourself one last time, then do a cone jump, and finish with a 180. The major difference between this retake and the FaZe dubs one is obviously the cone instead of the ramp, and the additional cone jump towards the end. Using the cone rather than the ramp gives you a little bit more to work with. The other reason, which some of you may have noticed, is in Bugha's retake, he does not initially place a floor. Instead, he edits the cone first, quickly places the floor, and then re-edits the cone into a ramp. This is a lot harder and more advanced than what I showed, simply because if you don't place the floor quickly enough, the entire build will break and you'll fall to your death. The benefit is Bugha only has to edit and re-edit the cone. He does not have to edit and reset the floor on top of that. Whichever you want to do is completely up to you. In general, this is a very useful and practical retake. You save a bunch of mats by re-editing the cone rather than doing another FaZe Sway move or anything like that. You're also constantly protected by the extended Thwifo cone and both versions of the cone edit. And to top it all off, the cone jump 180 combo at the end will be the exact moment you regained height and took control of the fight. Moving on to the third retake. This is another technique I learned from Edgey that combines and puts together some of my favorite ways to get high ground. Start off by scissor ramping up as usual. Then at the top of your ramp, turn and build 3 walls straight up. Then place a floor above you in between the second and third highest walls. That should all be done in one jump, kind of like this. Right after you do that, catch yourself on a ramp and turbo build above you at the same time. From there, build a floor in front of you, which you'll then edit through and turn around again, this time to do a reverse jump. To do a reverse jump, just place a wall directly behind you as well as one next to it. Then build a ramp on that far wall, which you'll jump onto. We're not done yet though. Here's the hardest part. As you're doing the reverse jump, you're going to cone and floor yourself. Then edit the 2 left tiles of both those builds, like I did. Follow that up with a floor connected to the cone you just edited, a ramp above and a ramp below you that you'll jump on. Edit through the floor, do a 180, and we're finally done. I really like this retake because it's different. A majority of popular retakes involve the same few moves: Thwifo cones, Bugha jumps, and cone jumps. This one, on the other hand, uses reverse jumps, triple wall 180s, and an alternative form of the Sway retake I've showed already. Plus, it's not too many mats, and you're never at risk of taking damage, even during the reverse jump, which is a little slower and less protected than a normal cone jump. You're using the cone and floor for protection and to help regain height. The last thing I wanted to mention is that it doesn't really matter how fast you do it. The whole point is to make your opponent lose track of where you are. Obviously, it will be more effective the faster you do it, but don't go too fast at first. All in all, if you're looking for something unique and that actually works against good opponents, you need to learn this move ASAP. The fourth and final retake is a cool little spin on what Parallel Beats calls a reverse 90. I showed a very basic version of this in my first ever useful retakes video. This very simple version is still a great retake, but it's a little too basic for the video. For our new version, if you guessed you're going to scissor ramp up, then you're right. Then at the top of your ramp, turn around and build walls counterclockwise like this. After you place all the walls, place a cone, and because you should have jumped and been in midair the whole time, place a ramp for you to land on. At normal speed, that should look like this, where you turbo build the walls, cone, and ramp smoothly in one motion while jumping. By this time, you'll be on the ramp, where you'll then go and do a cone jump, landing on a ramp of course. You will be pretty exposed at this point, so do a simple Thwifo cone for protection and complete the retake with the 2 typical choices, 90s or a 180. This is another pretty unique retake that I've only ever seen Ghost Bizzle use. So if you're looking for a different retake that you don't see a lot, but is still very useful and advanced, go learn this and diversify your portfolio of high ground retakes. Overall, those were 4 extremely advanced high ground retakes. Trust me when I say they are not that easy to do, especially that first one, which I really can't even do well. Don't get too discouraged at first, just put in the time and I'm confident you all can learn it no matter what platform or device you play on. With that being said, if you learned something and this video did help you out, be sure to drop a like, subscribe to the channel, and to turn on post notifications. Shout out to each and every one of you using code Jarian, especially everyone from the competitive subreddit. I saw those 2 appreciation posts and I really can't thank you all enough. Otherwise, that's it from me, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Later.